Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with the first episode in what's going to be a new Let's Play for Total War Rome 2. You might be asking, why are we starting a new Let's Play right now with so many already going? And if you've been following my posts through YouTube on like the community thing or whatever, you'll know that I've been having a lot of technical issues with quite a few of our Let's Plays at the moment, actually. I don't know what's going on with all the game updates and breaking of mods and whatnot, but I effectively can't play RimWorld right now. All of the major mods that all of my Let's Plays were reliant on have been broken by the latest patches because the RimWorld devs just love to reinvent the wheel every time they put out even the smallest update. So I briefly had it working, and then for whatever reason it stopped working again. And you know, to be fair to the modders, you can't expect them to put mod fixes out whenever there's an update like instantly. So I'm just gonna have to probably wait that out until the developers of all the big mods that all of my other mods rely on have a chance to, you know, patch stuff and we can get that working again. Also, Kingdom Come Deliverance, I was having some what do you call it, like graphical bugs where the game would freeze briefly and then play again, but the audio would continue or whatever. There's like weird hiccups. And that turned out to be an issue with the latest NVIDIA drivers, which they put out another patch for, and I think have resolved. But anyways, following that, they too put out an update, along with the latest DLC for that game, which I'm very excited about because I got it for free as a original backer of that game. But anyways, that DLC came with a game update that broke a lot of mods as well, and so I can't get into my save for that game either. So I need something to put on the channel, and I asked you guys, I think about a week ago at this point, if you'd be interested in seeing any Three Kingdoms Total War, because I've been very curious about the game. I did end up playing it, and I do enjoy it, though there's some things I wish they had done differently. Overall, I still like the game. But I asked you guys, and most of you agreed that there's just too much of that on YouTube right now, and I definitely can see that. But I've been dying to play some Total War, so I figured, since I need something to play in the interim to put on the channel, why not play some older Total War? And not super old, Rome 2 isn't that dated, and it's actually been seeing a lot of love from the devs recently. But I haven't played any Total War on the channel since we finished our Attila campaign for the Western Roman Empire, which ended because of the whole red shell spyware controversy thing. And credit to Creative Assembly for listening to the community and getting that out of there as quickly as they could. But anyways, at the time I didn't want to continue promoting their games while that was going on. And I'm still like kind of on the fence about it, which is why I asked you guys whether or not I should even cover Three Kingdoms. But I don't think it hurts anything to be covering an old game. Anybody who's bought or is going to buy Rome 2 will have purchased it at this point, so it's not like I'm helping Creative Assembly in any way by doing this. Though, again, I do have to give them some credit for listening to their community and getting that out of there. So anyways, Rome 2 is a game I've always had sort of mixed feelings about, because when it came out, it was kind of a dumpster fire. But it still had some bright spots, namely the setting. I really like the setting. But, I still was able to enjoy it despite all the issues it had, and very interestingly, they've continued to patch this game up until fairly recently. Even put out DLCs and expansions for it after the release of much later games like Warhammer and even Warhammer 2, I think. So, we've played Rome 2 on the channel before, but we've only ever played as the Spartans. We only did one campaign and it was relatively short. I thought it would be fun, while all of these other games are, you know, continuing to be broken and I'm trying to fix them, to do like a proper Rome campaign for Rome 2, because, you know, I've been dying to play some Total War, and what better way to do it than with Rome itself. So, let's go to our campaigns here, and we're going to jump into the Grand Campaign. Now again, we did Sparta already, but that's the only one we've done. We're going to do a proper Rome campaign this time, which, again, we've never done anything like that, with the exception of the Western Roman Empire for Attila, which that campaign is quite different in that that's one of the most difficult campaigns there is. It starts you with a very giant, bloated empire that's falling apart, and it's your job to kind of keep it together, or at least salvage what you can. We were able to pull it off, despite that being, again, probably the most difficult Total War campaign there is. The only exception, probably, to that is actually its predecessor, the Western Roman Empire campaign for Barbarian Invasion in the original Total War Rome. That was the campaign it was the Attila one was based on. They're both probably the two most difficult. So, this is completely the opposite in that we start with a very like lean, mean Rome, Republican Rome, and our job is to basically just go and conquer everything. We start with one of three factions. In the original Total War Rome, these three factions were actually like separate in terms of the game. They actually kind of went and did their own thing, and they were all effectively allied through Rome, but they, you know, had their own armies and stuff like that. In this game, they are all one faction, and so regardless of which ones you choose, you're effectively still playing as Rome with the same armies, same units, everything else. The only difference is who your characters are in the sort of internal politics and who you're going to be going up against. So there's three houses. There's the House of Julia, you know, Julius Caesar is the most famous one. I'm not a huge fan of these bonuses though. Plus 15 melee attack during battles against barbarians is fine and all, but you're not always fighting barbarians, so that's not always going to be useful. Plus 6 to cultural conversion is quite good though. For the House of Junia, you get plus 6 public order from the presence, up to plus 6, sorry, from the presence of Latin culture. So basically once you have converted these populaces, you'll get more benefits from it. And then agrarian wisdom is going to give you more wealth from your agricultural buildings, of which you are going to have several, because how else are you going to feed your people? And then finally you have the House of Cornelia. They have decent benefits, but I always either play as one of these two. So cultural assimilation, minus 50 public order penalties due to the presence of foreign cultures. So it makes it a little bit easier on you during that transition period while you're trying to convert them, but ultimately your goal is to 100% convert them, and so this is only going to be useful in that transition period. And then minus 50 upkeep cost for all auxiliary units, which again can be useful, can not be useful depending on how you compose your armies. So I really like the House of Junia's benefits, and I like the characters they start out with, so let's play as them. Let's dive on in and I'll give you a quick overview of the whole setting, and then we can get to some actual gameplay. I will be playing on very hard difficulty, by the way. That's what I always play on. I feel like it's legendary. The game, I mean, even at any difficulty beyond hard, the game cheats, but this is like tolerable cheating, where this is just like, okay, you get a plus 50 to your attack or whatever. That's totally fair. So yeah, we'll play on very hard. Alright, so straight out of the gate we have an objective. They want us to completely control 2 provinces, either by direct ownership, client states, or military alliances. So any of the above will work. We just need to have, you know, complete control over all of the settlements in 2 provinces. And then we'll get some money for our efforts on that. So the 2 provinces it wants us to control, it doesn't matter which 2, but the 2 that are implied is Italia, which we hold 2 of 4 of, and Magna Graecia, which we hold 2 of 4 of. Now, for Italia, this is going to be easy because we are already at war with the Etruscans, which is this faction up here and over there. So, conquering those is something that we're already kind of, you know, being directed toward because we're already at war with these guys, so that'll be very straightforward. But down here, this is a little bit different because we have Carthage, who are not at war yet, but obviously we will be. Famously, we'll be at war with the Carthaginians. But for Syracuse, I don't like going to war with them. They're one of the friendlier factions to Rome in the early game, and I like to rely on them, at least through most of the early to mid-game, as allies that we can sort of use as our navy, because I don't like having to deal with the navy aspect of this game. I will, because it's, you know, necessary part of it, but ideally if I can have allies that do a lot of the the naval warfare stuff for me, that's what I try to do. So we're going to ally, if at all possible, with the Syracusians, and that will give us Syracuse itself. Ideally, either we or, we can try to get them to do it, but Lilybaeum, whatever, either they'll take it or we'll take it, but, we'll have to wait until the war with Carthage kicks off. I'm not going to, initiate one if I don't have to, at least not until other things are in order. So, we control the southern 2/3 of the Italian peninsula, as you saw there. By the way, I am running several mods. The first of which that you're seeing here is the Olympian campaign camera that lets me zoom all the way out like this. Though with all the volumetric fog they've added, it's not super useful. Let's get in this cloud here. But yeah, the game has actually seen quite a lot of updates, even in very recently, and a lot of visual improvements too, and some performance ones to go along with that, because the game runs very well compared to how it used to. Though it does help I'm recording this with Shadowplay and not OBS, which is a lot less hardware intensive, so my hardware's not tied up recording so that it can handle the game a little bit better. Anyway, we need to immediately conquer the rest of the Italian peninsula, and then, if we're so inclined, we could go after Cisalpine Gaul, which is essentially Gaul on the near side of the Alps, and then there's, of course, Gaul on the far side of the Alps, or Transalpine Gaul. But before then, Carthage will probably declare war on us, so ideally we want to wrap this war with the Etruscans up as soon as possible. To that end, we've got 2 legions and a navy, a very small navy. And so let's quickly check those out. So we have Legio Duo Equestris, which is going to be our main legion because it is by far the most fleshed out. Now, this is pre-Marian Reform Rome, Republican Rome. So we don't have legionnaires or even legions yet. This is kind of a misnomer, at least at this point. But later, we will. So obviously there's no point in changing those names now. It's just a little bit anachronistic. Instead, what we had was a manipular organization, which used Hastati, Principes or Principes, depending on how you like to pronounce the C in that word, and Triari. And so the Hastati were the youngest, most poorly equipped of the frontline soldiers. And they made up the front maniples, which were much more loosely organized than, say, like a hoplite or hoplite phalanx. And that was one of the main advantages that Rome had over the various Hellenic factions, was that their armies were a lot more flexible. They could maneuver better, and in the rough terrain, they could outmaneuver the phalanxes and flank them. So I will do my best to emulate that to a degree, though it doesn't work super well in Total War, so we might have to make some concessions in that regard, but we'll see what we can do. Anyways, we have the Hastati, then the Principes, which we can't recruit yet. We don't have a tier 2 building, though. Here's what they look like. So there's the Principes, and then the Triari, which are the heaviest. Now, in Total War terms, the Triari are probably your best frontline troops because they're the most skilled, the most heavily armored, and they have spears, so they make really good pinning force. Everything in Total War is either a pinning force or a flanking force. And these guys are great pinning forces because they're slow and heavy with high morale. So nobody's going to break them, but they're not good at moving around. The Principes can also make a good pinning force, but if you have the Triari, then the Principes can also make a good flanking force because they'll move a little bit better and they have swords, so they're a little bit less defensive, a little bit more offensive. And then, of course, you have the Hastati, which are even more lightly armored, essentially the same as Principes, just in every sense a little bit lighter. So they also make a good flanking force. And so what I might end up doing is putting the Triari in the tree. For your first choice, there's really not a huge difference. It's essentially, do you want +1 authority, +1 cunning, or +1 zeal? And then you get 1 influence, an additional +1 influence per turn, regardless, or gravitas, however you want to say it. But anyways, with strategist, you unlock all these abilities here. The best 2 of which are Tactician, which is going to give you +8 campaign movement range per level, up to level 3, where you get 24 campaign movement map movement range. Excuse me. So your armies can move like massively further than the enemies, which really helps you like run down enemies trying to flee and whatnot. That is on the map, not in battle. Then you also have administration, which lets you get potentially -12 upkeep cost for all your non-mercenary units, which is quite good for trying to field more armies. Because, you know, obviously, if you have 5 armies all at -12%, you're up to like what, a potential 60% off of like 1 unit type. Therefore you can put that toward, you know, recruiting another. And eventually, if you have enough armies, you're essentially getting like a free other army. How many would that require? I'll do the math later. I think you'd be up around like 8. Yeah, I think at like your 8th army, you'd essentially get a free 9th army if you had this. But every general would have to have it. Anyways, just it's nice to save money on upkeep is the main point there. You can also lower recruitment costs with this, but recruitment costs being like a one-time fee, I don't really care about them as much. You can get the same -12% here, but again, I'd rather save 12% every turn versus 12% when I decide to purchase a unit. So I'm going to go with strategist. That was a long way to explain what I'm going to do. So anyways, march closer to the town there. We're going to take that next turn. We will fight that battle. You're recruiting. Everything else I think is all squared away. So let's jump into diplomacy, and then we'll call it a turn. Anybody that's willing to trade with me? No. How about a non-aggression pact? No. One thing I've noticed too is there's a lot of female rulers now, which is kind of cool because there was like no female characters in the game at all before. Though I don't know that they can be generals. I don't know that I've seen one be a general. But maybe they can, I'm not sure. One thing I wish they would have fixed though is like these are clearly newer models and textures, so like her face looks way better than his face. Just graphically. Like this looks so much newer, like it's from a different game. Athens, will you guys be our friends?
For the sake of friendship that has been and friendship to
maybe.
come.
No, okay, we'll try them next time.
No temple can stand upon
I'd like to ally with
pillars.
Athens too. It's another
We cannot agree.
fleet-heavy faction that can do a lot of the naval legwork for me.
And
Massilia. Oh, you guys looked like you were willing to trade. Maybe next turn. They'll slowly warm up to us. Sparta, what can we do with you guys? No trade because they don't have a port, but we can get a non-aggression pact.
Excellent.
I'm willing to throw out non-aggression pacts for everybody that's not in like my
Athena for
immediate
granting us all
vicinity,
wisdom.
because we can cancel them, I think, after 5 turns with no penalty. So as long as I'm not planning on conquering somebody in the next 5 turns,
I am
there's no
here
reason
to
not
listen
to do it.
if you speak
Because
honestly.
again, that
Truth
just
will be your
prevents them from
sharpest
attacking
weapon.
me. So let's throw one at Syracuse,
I
and
accept.
we're already trading with
We have an
them. Can we
agreement,
get military access?
and I'm sure
No.
I have some decent
Defensive
Cyprian
alliance?
wine
Probably
around
not yet,
here
but we'll
somewhere.
work toward that. And then the Veneti.
You are welcome, although my answer.
No, okay, we'll try that next
A
turn.
man is
I
judged
do
by
plan on
his
conquering these
friends.
guys relatively soon,
This
but
is
I
not
know
the
Carthage is
time
going to
for such
declare
an
war
agreement.
within the next couple of turns, and so our focus is going to be south, not north, for a while. I believe that's everything, so let's go ahead and advance. And actually, hold on a moment. No, next turn we will take that. That settlement is within the province of Italia, so we'll be able to recruit up here, even though there's no recruitment building there because Rome has one. So we'll be able to recruit a couple units into that legion before we go take on the last one. Alright, and I moved you guys, right? Okay, cool. Let's advance. One thing I really appreciate too is that they've greatly increased the speed of that end turn thing, so you don't have to sit nearly as long and wait. Though I'm still going to cut them out because there's really not much to go on. Unless, of course, there is something interesting that happens. Anyways, Lucius Julius Lebo has returned home. We'll probably put him at the head of whatever legion we decide to form next. Let's go ahead and build this farm here. And, oh, that was Italia. I meant to come down here and select one of these. Let's go ahead and build our consecrated ground there. You need to march. Let's put you in force march, actually, and we'll get you sailing on out there. Meanwhile, you have a decent little navy that you can start blockading them with. They did train a new general out here, and they'll be able to continue training troops. Blockading their port just basically prevents them from, you know, trading or anything like that. So we'll starve them of money, but not necessarily of food or recruitment. Okay, over here, let's have you kind of sneak onto this side. Can you get a little bit further? Oh, you can get a lot further. Okay. Well, there's no armies in either of these places. Let's have her start stealing food. That's just a nice little passive ability that takes food from them and gives it to us. If you're not doing anything else with them and you have the option, you may as well have them do that, even if you don't need the food, because they will gain experience from it. So she's basically just farming XP right now is all I care about. Let's go ahead and attack this. This is also an extremely one-sided battle, but we'll fight it anyways because I do want to, you know, play some combat with you guys. And if we attack Arminium today, we'll show that one as well. Okay, so here we are. Let's start advancing. We'll advance slowly. We don't want to get caught out of position or anything like that. Though I will warn you now, I'm somebody who really likes to pause and kind of get really in depth with my micromanagement of the tactics here. I'm not the kind of player that kind of just like puts stuff into a formation, sends it at the enemy, and like watches it play out. Oh, come on, you guys. Why are you standing there? Move. So immediately they're coming at us with the Italian Spearmen, which are probably, aside from their cavalry with the general, the biggest threat. Everything else is just mobs or slingers. God, that... What is going on with my troops here? They're having a real hard time getting through the brush. Okay, so immediately it looks like these guys are going to be real aggressive. So I'm going to ask my frontline skirmishers to start throwing some javelins at them. Meanwhile, let's get my general unit to start moving on some sort of flanking maneuver. And you clowns just need to run at this point. You're really screwing this up. Velites, I'd like you guys to use your flaming shot and start lighting them up too. And then let's see, if you charge, will they back off or will they stand their ground? Because if we can pin their best unit right here and now, I'm happy to do that. I can't tell, to be honest. They're like running parallel with our lines, which is very strange. You're getting lit up there. Probably shouldn't do that. You guys need to adjust your focus. Okay, so they've engaged. You go ahead and engage them too. You're gonna have to deal with the mob. Their cavalry is going to get to us, but that's okay. I'll send mine to go deal with them. Meanwhile, go ahead and start skirmishing with the mobs. You're engaging there. Yeah, both of you guys attack the general. You go after the slingers. Oh no! Pull back. If you can get far enough away, we can have you throw into them. No, you're just done. Can you help us out? Let's be a little bit smarter about that. Nope, come here, then there. If we can get in behind them, we can flank them with javelins. That's what we should be doing over here, actually. Oh, keep going. I don't know why they refuse to listen. Oh, that's why they refuse to listen, because I have them on skirmish mode. Okay, that's pretty much one unit of slingers dispatched. Go ahead and go after the other. Men are wavering over here. Yeah, that happens. So yeah, javelins in the back will break the enemy pretty quickly. Can you adjust your focus there, and I'll have these guys worry about this. Actually, everybody focus on the general.
Astarte! At the double! Brave
Because
Romans!
the, you guys are gonna get wrecked. Actually, they pulled back. Only a few of them made it into the charge. No, don't engage there. Don't engage there. Just let the javelins handle it. Velites, disengage if you can. And everybody else just throw everything you've got at them. That's pretty much it. Yeah, they've broken. Did we kill the general? I don't remember getting a notification, so I think he's still alive. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because this is a siege battle, so whatever is here when we win is dead. All right, there's our victory. Pretty easy though. It was a little bit sloppy. I'm a little bit rusty. All right, so down goes the garrison army, and we'll go ahead and occupy this. No reason to do anything else. That's going to give us a military tradition for this legion. Because Rome is lacking in pretty much everything except for heavy infantry, I like to choose formidable fighters first. It's going to give +3 weapon damage to effectively all of our units. So anything attacking with a melee weapon, basically. We don't really have archers. We do have skirmishers, but the skirmishers are really more of a flanking force at this point. They're not going to take down anything head on. At least we shouldn't be trying to. So, not going to help us, and then obviously we have no artillery yet. So, may as well go here. Right, so let's take a look at this village. There's nothing. Let's start building a recruitment building here, and then I'll tear this down as soon as this one's, like, next turn, when this is about to be ready, we can get rid of this one. And we'll replace that with, like, the Colosseum building. In the meantime, though, we can recruit a couple of guys here. Let's see. I think we'll take 2 more Hastati. Actually, let's do this. Give me 3 Hastati and 2 Rurari. Rurari are effectively like spear militia. These are troops that historically you wouldn't see outside of like a garrison. If even that. They wouldn't be deployed in like a marching army necessarily, but we will, just because obviously cavalry gave us kind of an issue there because we have no real counter for it. So at least having an end cap for each flank would be nice. And then what I'll do is merge these together so that I have 3 full strength Hastati and then 4, 5, 6 next turn plus the 2 Rurari. I'd like to do that back here too, but I don't know that we have enough recruitment slots left. Maybe we do. It's going to cost me more money, but that's fine, I suppose. You know what, it doesn't matter. Let's save the money. We'll do something else with it. So, following turn, we're going to start marching on Arminium. Hopefully they don't raise an army there in the meantime. You guys have already moved. I think we've done all the building we can probably do. Yeah. So, let us go into diplomacy.
Enter, friend,
Trades?
and speak.
Nope. Non-aggression pact? Nope. Be nice if somebody was willing to pay me
Be
for either
welcome
of them.
here.
Trade. Still no. I might
My
throw some
people
money
are
at
wealthy
Athens to make that happen.
One
Oh, come on,
sacrifice
guys.
is needed on the altar.
Fine, I'll do it. Will you trade with
Wisdom
me?
should always be admired.
No, maybe next turn.
I think trade.
Need that money
and-
though. Liguria.
Well met, friend.
Trade. Nope. Non-aggression pact. Maybe. Oh, okay, maybe not.
For the sake of
Massilians,
friendship that
please.
has been,
Thank you so much.
I can settle on the.
That's fine. Trade's enough right now. Syracuse.
Be
How
welcome
about that
here
military
and
access?
speak.
No.
Your
Defensive
words
alliance?
are olive.
Also no. Alright, well, we'll keep at it. And in fact, what I think I'll do, because I have a little bit of money left over, is let's take... whoops. Let's take you. You're a diplomat. Kind of, right? I mean, you don't have any traits, but you're a politician, so you're not doing anything else. Let's send you as a diplomat to Syracuse. Because I'd like, again, to secure that alliance sooner rather than later. I think that's the end of that turn. So the Etruscans have decided to attack my fleet. I'm not going to fight this battle. We'll just auto-resolve it. They didn't send their garrison in, though. Just the garrison fleet. So this is not a battle that's going to, like, win us the settlement. It's just whether or not they run us off. But we'll stand and, you know, give it to them, because there's no reason not to with this overwhelming chance of victory. Let's go balanced. Try to minimize casualties. Okay, so they sink. Our general unit took a lot of casualties there, which is unfortunate. I'll release them for the extra cash. Okay, so our diplomat has returned, accompanied by a famous scholar. Okay, hopefully that means they were successful. Research is complete, so we'll have to choose a new one. And Decimus Junius Brutus increased in rank from that naval battle. So let us handle that first, so we don't forget. I eventually plan on making him a general, but it doesn't matter for this first choice. I'm going to go strategist. And we'll choose a new technology before I forget. That one's done. Let's do this one. All of our troops have been recruited, and 2 of our buildings are finished. Okay, great. You, keep sailing out there. Between that small legion and this navy, we should have enough to take that. Meanwhile, it looks like they have started to recruit over here. No, they just built a really nice artillery ship for some reason. But let's march our legion over there. Oh, you're blocking us, kind of. Can you scooch just a little bit? She's not going to be able to steal food anymore, but she was preventing our legion from getting close. Well, I guess it wasn't really that much. I guess I should have just left her. Oh well. Okay, next turn we'll attack. And that will be the end of the Etruscans, at least on the Italian peninsula. We have some money left, so what do we want to do here? This should be getting dismantled. Nobody can take advantage of it right now, and that'll be done next turn anyways. So do we want to specialize this building or improve the main building? So the biggest difference is actually the garrison is the same. So it's going to give us additional growth. It'll start giving us cultural influence, and then more wealth from subsistence, as well as a bonus percentage to wealth from all sources. Yeah, I want this to really start expanding, so that additional growth will be helpful. That's like all of our money, though. So we'll do that. Everybody's moved, right? You've moved. We know you've moved. Let's hop over here. Athens is warming up to us.
We surely have much to discuss.
She is not, though. I am curious, so like, we can't arrange a marriage between the two of them.
Perhaps much to agree.
What does it say? Propose a marriage between their faction leader and yours. Oh, so we can't like marry her to anybody we want. It has to be the faction leader. Such a marriage results in greatly improved diplomatic relations between the two factions. We can try doing that, and then when we inevitably conquer her faction, she won't cease to exist. But yeah, nothing doing there. Athens, can we please get that trade agreement now? Oh, cool. They're paying for it this time.
With interest to all you have to say.
Let's try that. Nope. Okay, maybe like
gold is usually offered in payment
750.
of service.
I can't do anything
We
in
are not
between.
your servants,
Like I can't type
friend.
in, which is
Are
something
we?
I hate. So we'll have to do it. Maybe 9. No. Okay.
Gold is usually offered in payment
God,
of
I
service.
hate this system
We
sometimes.
are not your
So
servants, friend.
if we do like
Are we?
200 and then we ask for another 5, maybe they'll do it then. Sure, whatever. Just pay me a little bit of gold.
Excellent.
And
Greetings,
we got the
honored
non-aggression
guest.
pact. How about
I
military
serve.
access? No.
You speak well, and
Liguria, still
Greetings.
coming for that trade agreement.
Speak-
Nope. Auxilia, how about
Be
a non-aggression
welcome.
pact with you? Nope. Sparta,
I
can
give
we
you
get
welcome.
maybe military
Let's-
access? No.
simple
And
prudence
then
means
Syracuse.
I am
Let's try
eager to
military
hear your
access.
embassy.
No. We could probably pay
Athena
them
has
for it,
blessed
but
you
I'm
with the
gonna wait until
wisdom
they're
to
willing to offer it up for free. Non-aggression pact here?
Greetings. Speak plainly and
Maybe. Nope. Okay.
a man is just
About all we can
by
do then.
his
Let's
friends.
check the loyalties
This is
real
not the
quick.
time for such an agreement.
6, 1, and -6. So just our success as faction leader is improving our loyalty a bit. It does help that I think we rolled pretty well on our party traits here. I've played this before a little bit, and like House Cornelia, for example, was just like power hungry, and so they always had like a -10 to their loyalty no matter what. Whereas these guys seem to all be like militarist expansionists, and so just actively going out and conquering kind of does it for them. And I guess diplomat +1 loyalty for every case where the player has more than 100 positive. Oh, never mind. I thought he liked going on diplomatic missions or something, but apparently not. Right, next turn. Okay, so 3 more buildings are finished, and it looks like our neighbors to the northwest have gone to war, so Massilians here and the Ligurians there are fighting. Kind of a bummer for us, because the more divided the various factions are up here, the easier the conquests generally are. Actually, that's not necessarily true, because these single province or single settlement factions get a massive bonus to their income. Essentially, every faction gets like a passive, I think it's like 2,000 income at their capital. And so if your capital is also your only settlement, that means that, for example, Junia here is producing far more in their hands than it ever would in anybody else's. Like that 161 is not reflective of how much they're actually making up here, the 161. They're probably closer to like 2,161, because they'll field a full stack army, which 161 income would never cover, never in a million years. That's like 1 or 2 units. Anyways, you can go ahead and sail on up here now, and let's take a look at this. So we'll never win this battle attacking, but if they attack us, we should be able to pull it off. In fact, I'm wondering if I land you on the coast, does that give us a greater advantage? It's not going to let me do that. Maybe it will. It's just where I choose to do it. Yeah, see if you can get ashore. Does that change things? Not really. Well, we'll see what happens when they attack us. That also lets you recruit mercenaries, so we could do that. Let's get that Italian, those Italian spearmen. The cavalry's a bit expensive. I don't think we need it. Okay, Rome, you need a public forum. It would also be nice to have a manipular barracks so that we can start getting more advanced units. And unfortunately, that's like all of my money. What are you doing there, Epirus? Really no reason for you to have a transport over here. They better not try anything. I could probably defeat them with that garrison, but I'd rather not have to try. Okay, Arminium. Oh my god, are you kidding? Well, I guess we're spending another turn, because I apparently clicked a little bit too far over. Whatever. You win this round. And then we'll just have to wait that one out. So let's jump into diplomacy again.
Enter, friend, and speak.
Still
We
low
surely
there.
have much to discuss,
Still low
and
there.
Perhaps much to agree.
Moderate. No, okay. I'll
No
probably send a
temple
diplomat
is-
to them then. See what that gets
blessing
us.
of the
Military access here?
Olympians
Nope.
Athena has blessed you with the wisdom.
Massilia,
Greetings.
non-aggression pact.
We are
Maybe.
civilized.
Okay, we got it.
I can settle on these
That won't matter
terms
if
in
they
the
get
sure
conquered by
knowledge that I
Liguria,
have
but something
served
tells me
my
they're going to
people
win.
well.
They have, like, you know, Greek hoplites and stuff like that. The Ligurians are just another random Celtic tribe, so they have better troop quality. Not that that always factors into the
I give you
outcomes,
welcome.
but sometimes. Still nothing for
In honor,
military
I
access, huh?
cannot accept your terms.
I think as soon as
They
Carthage
are
declares war
well-intentioned,
on us, that
but
will
fall
change.
far short of what my people need.
But we'll see, because they hate Carthage. So if we're also at war with Carthage, well, they're not at war with them yet, but they will be. But let's see if we can't maybe throw a couple coins their way for this. Okay, 200 was enough.
We
Sometimes
Greeks are
just
a
anything
realistic folk and
will
will
be enough.
accept.
Alright, and then let's go to... I'll send her, since we're dealing with a queen. Off you go. And one more turn. Alright, looks like the enemies here have decided to attack us, and yeah, I should have left the other army as a navy, because we would have defeated them here. So retreat. We'll send you back in a moment. Where the hell are you going? Oh, their navy sailed away. Your diplomat has returned, accompanied by a master horseman. Okay, I'll need to look at the different household things, because I haven't really been paying attention to that. Right, so I totally botched that last turn in every way. Why can't you get out here?
Embarking.
Okay,
Not into those waters.
let's send you back. That looks like they're close enough to reinforce. They have to attack us, though. It has to be a naval battle. Or apparently it doesn't. We can definitely win that. I'm not sure if I want to fight that one or just auto-resolve it. Let's just auto-resolve it and then we'll fight the other one. So what's going to give us the most survivors? I guess we'll just do balanced. Any day now. Could you sink faster, please? There we go. Alright, so that is it for them. Do I want to try to subjugate them? This would be a good place to do it. So I'd have to sack it, or sorry, raise it, and then come back the next turn. If I wanted to do that. No, let's just occupy it. Dealing with like client states and satrapies can be a real pain, so I think I'd rather not as much as I can. We'll do it because it's going to be necessary, but sometimes it just creates a mess. So yeah, can you come attack this? We'll make sure it's a sword and not a boat.
Forming a blockade.
God, you still can't do
None
it.
will escape.
Fine, we'll attack next turn. Oh my god, one misclick and it cost me 2 turns. Alright, since that's done, let's get our champions over here. We have a pretty good amount of food for now. Is this going to give me any additional growth? No. What about these? No, this might. All I care about right now is growth. That one actually doesn't have any negatives. Does this give more growth? No. 2 public order, 2 growth, and then obviously more wine and income. This is going to give us 1 public order, 2 growth. But I'm okay with that because there's no penalty to our food. In fact, there's a benefit, so I'll do that. And down here, really not liking whatever you guys are up to. I'd like to go Shrine of Neptune there. Because eventually I'd like to turn this over into a harbor, which I suppose we could do now. But if they're going to attack, I should probably leave this here for the better garrison. I don't think they will, but I don't like what they're doing. And I don't want an auxiliary camp. Not down there anyways. It'll be better served, like, if we build it here, I think we can auxiliary recruit Etruscan units. If we build it up here, I think we can get Celtic ones, but in traditionally Roman territory, there's not really anything that we gain. So no. I want that, so no. Sorry, here I want the Shrine of Jupiter, I think. I guess let's build a farm. Lastly, we'll check in on diplomacy. Got that trade agreement, so I guess our diplomat did a good job. How's that marriage thing coming? No. We got a non-aggression pact with you. Can we get a
Athena give you wisdom
here? Not
so
yet.
that you may speak
There
well
or with
and
Epirus.
persuade me of your cause.
That's interesting.
Be welcome.
I guess we'll just leave that be. Oh, we have a military tradition here. Let's go with... We'll probably go Great Marksman because the majority, well, all of that fleet basically is support ships, and we probably won't have much of anything else. Okay, so I think we're about ready to... Wait, no. Sorry, up here. I should get these guys on land, though. So you come over here. Meanwhile, that's fine. I don't know if I'll be able to squeeze a recruitment building in here, but I'd like to have one, so that we can start getting better cavalry than what's available to us currently. So I think we'll end this episode. Well, let's do our building stuff first. I want that to be an amphitheater. Public order is not super necessary though, so maybe I should do commerce first. That's going to net me 200. This is going to net me 120. Let's do that first. Okay, I have enough to send a diplomat or something out. Let's go ahead and fight this battle. Not that. We want this. And I'll fight it, even though, again, this is a complete mismatch. And then I think that'll be it for today. So, a little bit different formation this time, just because we did struggle to kind of counter their cavalry last time. Could advance a little bit. Let's go to like there. So rather than put the skirmishers out in front, I don't want to have to worry about them, you know, pulling anything toward us that they can't necessarily escape from. So I'm just going to have them in the back. God, why do you guys move so slow? The skirmishers are walking into the backs of them. You know what? Screw it. Just everybody double time it. Anyway, we've got swords all along the front, and then the Rarari spears on either flank just to kind of cap it. So we'll see what they decide to do, but if I need to, I can just turtle up with the Testudo. This is the attacking Testudo, so we can still move, even in, you know, that formation. Unfortunately, though, they get into like this very narrow troop spacing. You can't actually adjust the shape that they take, which is a little unfortunate. Because I'd rather they stay roughly like this, but they get kind of a weird shape when you do it. I'll show you here because they're not about to be attacked. So see, they form up like that, and you can't adjust it, which is a bummer. But at least they do go back to regular formation when you take them out of it. Okay, so here's our Italian spearmen. It looks like they're coming in pretty... Well, they were coming in pretty hard, and they just stopped. Slingers are firing at my Hastati here. We've got pretty good shields, so I'm not really that concerned about it. We'll take a couple casualties, but ultimately it won't matter. I'm going to split you guys off into another group. And can I maybe... That's too far. Let's do something like that. Because they seem to want to lean on this flank, so we'll just kind of close in around them if that's what they want to do. You guys can adjust a little bit, like so. And actually that was a little bit too far. Hang on a moment. Stay there, stay there, stay there. You guys go like here. I want the Velites ready to flank because they can use flaming shots or flaming javelins. So if I can get them around and then throw the javelins into the back of the enemy, that will do the most morale damage. I might just engage them. They seem pretty keen to wait. So I'm going to pause here while I issue some of these orders, but I'll try not to leave it paused for too long. So you three, I'd like to just advance straight on. I'll just tell you to do that or something. You should probably go with them. So move to like here. And you three, four actually, should probably move to about here. And then I'll take you guys. Whoops, what did I just hit? Oops. There we go. And we'll move you thereabouts. And you guys, all three of you will move to hereabouts. And I'm going to keep the general and his unit back a bit because I don't want the slingers targeting him. And I'll just let them run. I don't see any reason not to. We're not covering enough ground where fatigue's going to matter. You guys might want to go a little bit slower. I don't want you like outrunning your protection. Okay, so what is the unit of Italian spears going to do? They don't appear to know. Hit him in the flank then if they're going to run around awkwardly like that. Keep going, keep going. Don't go after them, just advance. Sure, pin them. You guys need to double time it over there. And try to pin the cavalry. Go ahead and advance there, advance there. Start closing the trap around them, please. That's good. You should be targeting that unit. You should be targeting that one. You start getting over here. Do not let the cavalry escape. Come on, move your asses. What are you waiting for? Okay, go. You guys, right there. Start closing in. Do what you can. Okay, if they're gonna flee, then hit them in the flanks. You guys start throwing into the crowd, please. Do not let that cavalry get away. Oh, you bastards. Well, General, come over here, please. Alright, Rorari, that's your job. You guys, meanwhile, need to just completely close in on those spears. Skirmish with them so you don't cause any friendly fire. Rorari, again, that's you guys. Velites, try not to get caught up in that. Probably too late.
Brave Romans to a man. Glory to Rome waiting.
But I think that's pretty much it. I was going to send the general around to hit that unit, but it looks like the skirmishers got him. Here. They're basically done. Just dogpile. Oh, there it is. Decisive victory. Alright. So, 2 turns later than it should have been, we finally defeated the Etruscans. We'll just occupy this. If I was going to subjugate them, I would have done it out on that island versus like right in the middle of Italy. Though I kind of regret not doing that now. Oh well. Okay, and that's another rank for Marcus Junius Brutus. Let's level him up. What's funny is, even though that battle felt a lot cleaner than the previous one, Volatile, we actually had significantly more casualties in this one. Partly because I think like 1/5 of all of our casualties were self-inflicted. But we'll try to clean that up with the skirmishers. So I'm going to go Tactician and get that additional campaign movement, because that's going to be extremely helpful. So that enemy is completely defeated now. I'm actually genuinely surprised that the Carthaginians did not attack us at any point during that. So they do still have some fleets around, which is why we haven't gotten faction destroyed yet, but those fleets aren't going to pose any threat. They're not going to be able to, for example, take Arminium from us with, what, 3 ships? Nor are they going to be able to take, like, Neapolis from us with a general on a transport. So I think we're pretty safe. They'll try. They're going to attack this, but they'll just die in the attempt. So I do have a little bit of money left. I'll probably invest it in... I need to build up this legion to match the other one, because we're going to need some pretty powerful troops if we're going to defeat Carthage. Luckily, we can actually walk across here. So if I can just build up a nice little army and have it ready there, I can just march straight down. Because Carthage really does like to rely on their navy, and they're going to have an advantage on us there. So it's going to be very difficult to maneuver by ship in these areas. So if we can, at least take this port by land, that makes things a little bit easier. And then ideally, Syracuse will take Lovaeum there, and then that'll just leave us to deal with Carthage itself, and then we'll have to, land in Africa and march from there. But I don't think it'll be too bad. I think we can definitely handle it. So that's a great stopping point with that war pretty much over, and another war on the horizon. If you guys are excited for this playthrough, let me know. I am, just because it's nice to be back to some Total War. I feel rusty. I've been playing a little bit of Three Kingdoms, but it's a very different game than this. So, you know, the controls are essentially the same, but this plays a lot faster. That game almost feels like when you're playing this on slow motion, like the half speed. Full speed on that game feels like half speed on this. So, yeah, it just feels a little bit different, and the armies are a lot smaller in that game. It's a lot more hero focused. Unless you're playing on the records mode, then it's a little bit more like this, but it's still slower. I'm very excited to be back, though, as I said. I know people will ask, so I'll mention them now because I don't think all of them came up, but just the mods that I'm using. Dresden's SAC, Liberation, etc. diplomacy mod basically just gives you all of the different diplomacy options, regardless of what faction you are. So, for example, Rome previously would only be able to create client states. Now I can choose to create satrapies instead, which are sort of more in your control. Client states just pay tribute to you, but they can still act independently, declare their own wars and stuff. Satrapies cannot. So if we're going to be using those, we should probably be using the satrapies rather than the client states. Either way, you can levy troops from them, though. I'm also using a mod that prevents barbarian factions from producing their own artillery. They can still get artillery, they just can't build it themselves. So if they defeat anybody with artillery, they can capture it. We'll still see them with it. It's just going to prevent them from spamming it, essentially. I'm also running camera mods, obviously. I think I mentioned that. The unit icons, I don't think I mentioned. These are done by Bullgod. Bullgod's unit icons. It's a very old mod, so there's new troops and stuff that have been added since that aren't covered. But they'll just show up as the sort of the default like unit portrait. So it's not like they're blank. It's just it'll show the vanilla one versus the new one. But I think these do really improve the game. I don't know why Creative Assembly struggles so much with unit portraits. Like, this is such a simple design and it works so well. You can see very clearly what each unit is about. Like, these guys are lightly armored. They've got a scudam and a short sword. These guys are completely unarmored with a scudam and a spear. But it's just, like, very obvious what every unit is and what they have and what they do. Versus, you know, if you look at the highly stylized ones in the game by default, it's kind of difficult to tell what exactly you're looking at. Though it is kind of cool that they've used the, you know, the art style from that period. It's just, it doesn't convey the information very well. And then you have like the opposite, which is the ones in Attila, which they're all in these like really aggressive poses, and it's kind of hard to tell like what's even going on in such a small little picture. So it's nice. These are, you know, they're not in necessarily like an action pose necessarily. These guys kind of are, but it just conveys the information so much better, and they look so much nicer. Also, what else am I running? That might be it, but let me check after I finish recording this, and if there's any I missed, I'll mention them next time. But anyways, again, let me know if you're excited for this playthrough. I am, and we'll continue this. We'll kind of choose our own end game, I suppose, like we sort of always do. I don't want to cancel this early, even if the other series come back, though, so we'll find a way to fit it in regardless. But thank you so much for watching. I had a great time playing some Total War with you, and I look forward to seeing you guys back here for the next episode.